Welcome back to Machete Bushcraft Australia. My name is Ben, I'm the owner of North Arm Machete Co. And today's topic is, I want to do a knife review on a new knife maker, a new Australian knife maker called Mefflin Knives. This is his Woodlore. He's currently got two models, another one's called a Whittler. But I tell you what, I really like this knife. And he's definitely changed my opinion on Scandi knives in general. But for a full disclosure as well, I want to let you guys know that I do sort of know this guy online. He's a member of a online community that I'm a member of as well. And I've been watching his progression in the background for the past 2-3 years, his development into making knives. And I must admit, it's actually been really interesting to follow his adventures with knife making. The second thing I wanted to disclose as well is I actually really dislike Scandi knives in general. Not that I think there's a whole lot of hype around them. I think Scandi knives actually perform quite nicely as a bushcraft tool. I just find them overly painful and difficult and slow to sharpen and maintain. Now, yeah, there's probably half the people who are going to see this are going to be jumping up and down and saying it's like, oh no, Scandi's fantastic, it's easy to sharpen. That's fine, you know, that's just my opinion. I just happen to find Scandi very slow and very painful to maintain, over which I like to prefer. It's not even convexes, which I actually prefer. I just tend to find that the perfectly flat or zero grind Scandis, they do take an awfully long time to polish from the factory. And the problem I have with that is that when you start to use them hard, and you happen to damage that edge, which happens to all of us, it takes a tremendous amount of effort to get that damage back out. Whereas if you look at slightly convexed or more of the traditional, you know, very slight or very shallow Scandi, or halfway across between a Scandi and a convex edge, it's very quick, it's very rapid to actually remove damage which you've done to the edge. So yeah, look, I tell you what though, Mefflin Knives has changed my opinion on Scandis in general. I'm probably going to start looking back into them a little bit more. I don't think I'm going to do the zero grind. I think that's a game that's a bit painful. I'll probably do the micro bevel system with this Scandi. I have kept it as a zero grind to begin with until I finish this review, and then I'll modify it afterwards. But I wanted to keep it true to the maker for this review. Now, one of the things I absolutely really love about this is that it is Australian made. Now, I don't know how important buying Aussie made gear is to a fellow Aussies out there. Look, I suppose I've got a unique perspective on it. I've got my own business, it's Australian made business. But because I've been following this guy's progression online, I know a lot of the supply chain which this guy gets his materials and his knowledge and his support from. And look, one thing that's amazing is, like, you know, when you support an Aussie business, you're actually supporting not just that business, you're supporting that business's supply chain as well. Like, I know where this guy gets his steel from. And I know it's good quality steel, absolutely, because I've got steel from this guy as well. You know, even things like the stamp. I know where the guy got his stamp made. You just supported another Aussie business. I think that's fantastic, and I think it is so important. Now, value for money. I'm not going to talk about prices because you can look online yourself. It's definitely not a cheap knife. I'd say it's middle of the road as far as cost-wise when you're buying a good quality tool. Would I buy this again if I lost it? In a heartbeat. I'm so impressed with this knife. Now there's things I actually don't like about it, but if I wanted to replace this, I would absolutely replace this in a heartbeat. Now, the things that I really liked about this, and I'll try and do them in order of importance that you guys actually might find important as well, is first thing is edge retention. It's one thing you cannot change when you purchase a knife, is how it holds an edge. You can't reheat treat it, well, not realistically anyway. You can't reheat treat it to change its edge retention quality, and you can't change the steel that's in it either. Whatever he's done it right. And it's 01 steel. It's slightly more complicated than the most 1095 steels to heat treat. This guy's put his pixie dust on it, that's for sure, because this knife, it really hung onto its factory edge very nicely. And I've since resharpened it and polished it up to a finer edge, which actually wasn't needed, to tell you the truth, because it was sharp enough out of the box. But this guy knows how to heat treat his knives. The edge retention was great. You cannot change that. Most other things you can change about a knife, but that's one thing no DIY is ever going to be able to change, is the edge retention of a knife. Bang on. It lasted for ages. Now, sharpness out of the box. That's another thing that's really important to a lot of people, and particularly beginners who don't know too much about working with knives or sharpening knives, is how sharp is it out of the box. Absolutely, this edge is going to impress just about everyone, and probably the 1 or 2% that aren't happy with how sharp it is, they're never going to be happy with anything out of the box anyway, because they're fussy like me and they're going to hand sharpen it themselves, and that's fine. They also understand is that it can take hours to polish an edge and sharpen an edge, particularly from a factory. So, I mean, realistically, the sharpness out of the box, look, it's bang on. You just can't go wrong with it. Overall feel, I think that's another thing as well. It just feels right in your hand. One of the things I initially didn't like about it was it's quite a wide handle and it's actually quite thin. I'm used to much rounder shaped handles. Originally, probably took me about 15 minutes to actually get used to it. I actually really like the wide flat handle now. It's hard wide as a bushcraft tool, and it's there for a reason, because it gives you control when you're actually twisting the blade, and that's quite often when you're in a cut, particularly when you're doing anything that's not straight, you quite often have to twist the blade through the cut, which does dull your knife a little bit faster. However, it is an important technique to be able to roll that knife when you're actually carving or cutting. Overall look, sexy, man. Fit and finish, bang on. I really like his choice of handle material. Look, the rivets, I tend to do tube rivets. It's only because I'm just set up to do them. It doesn't tend to be a very common thing done in Australia as well. It's a bomb-proof system. Like, there's nothing that's going to get the handles that I put on knives off. Again, you're basically going to have to bake them to soften everything on there to try and actually get them off or cut them off. But when it comes to strictly like a bushcraft knife, the last thing you want is this front rivet to be a tube rivet, because it tends to be a hot spot where you're going to get a blister. This fit and finish on this Mefflin Woodlore is bang on. That's something I wouldn't actually change about this. Overall function, look, as I said before, like he's put his little pixie dust on it. Whatever he's done it right. I have used a lot of Woodlores in the past, and this one's up there as far as the best of the best in my eyes. It just feels right in your hand. It's so easy to use. The length, the weight. I don't think anyone's going to be disappointed, or very few people will ever be disappointed with this. And it probably comes to more my point, is like, who would I recommend this knife to? And there's two groups that I'd recommend this knife to. It's beginners who don't know too much about knives. Out of the box, this is not going to disappoint. You're really going to like this. This is very quickly probably going to become your lifelong favourite bushcraft companion. The other people that I'd recommend this to is, look, the pros that know an awful lot about Woodlores. This is one to have in your collection. Absolutely, I wouldn't hesitate recommending. I highly doubt the people that know a lot about knives are going to be disappointed with this knife. Now, what didn't I like? Look, initially it was the handle. It's the first thing I noticed, that I didn't really like it. Again, because if you look at my handles, and this is my knife, I mean, I've got a really round handle on that. I love that. That's really comfortable in my hand. I tend to do a lot of cuts where I bear down while I'm actually cutting, and it tends to feel a little bit more comfortable in this web. However, you know what? I got used to this handle really quickly. I loved it. So look, originally I didn't like it. I changed my mind on that really quickly. Second thing is the sheath. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because look, as I said, I've been a knife maker since I was 20. As a hobby, I've sold an awful lot of knives, but it was always as a hobby. One thing I do know is that I can spend more time and more money on a really nicely made sheath than it does to take me to make the knife, and I don't think a lot of people actually realise that. The knives that take an awful long time to make anyway, and there's quite a lot of cost involved in it and a lot of skill involved in it, a hell of a lot of testing as well. But the sheaths themselves, they can actually take just as much, or if not more time and more cost to actually manufacture a really slick, nice sheath. The sheath that came with it, you know what? It's functional. It's rustic. I love the way it fits. It's so simple. I think it's, look, it is rustic is probably the best way of describing it. I reckon you probably put a few years of hard dirt time into this. This will break in nicely. You're going to love this sheath. Otherwise, you know what? It's one part of a knife that a DIY can change is, make your own sheath. It's a lot of fun. I will be making my own sheath. I will be making my own sheath for this, particularly because I'm left-handed. Left-handed people are really used to making their own sheaths, that's for sure. But I will make a really nice sheath for that. I think it's definitely worth it, and that's one knife that I'll hang on to for a very long time. Now the third thing I didn't really like, and again it's actually not to discredit the maker at all, is that it took a really long time to repolish that edge. Now, anyone that knows anything about sharpening will also understand that it takes a tremendous amount of time to polish an edge and to get it to like a really like a high standard of fussy people like myself. To expect a knife maker to make a fantastic knife that's heat treated properly with a rock solid handle, with an absolutely fantastically beautiful sheath, and also polish that edge to a really high standard, you're sort of looking at a knife you're talking about 3 separate areas altogether. You're sort of looking at a knife around the $500, $600, $700 mark, if you're asking me, if the maker was charging what they were worth. You know what? It's anyone that actually knows anything about polishing knives, and anyone that knows anything about sharpening Scandi will appreciate the fact that it takes a tremendous amount of time. So it's actually, that's not even a thing I didn't like about the maker. That's just the nature when it comes into working with resharpening Scandi knives. So I wouldn't actually hold any of those 3 points against Mefflin knives. So would I go out and buy this again? As I said before, you know what? If I lose this knife, Pierre, expect another order from me. Actually, expect an order soon from me for one of your whittlers, because I was so impressed with this. I definitely want to get a companion knife for it in the whittler. So from Machete Bushcraft Australia and North Arm Machete Co, it's 2 big thumbs up from me. Very impressed. Yeah, you have sort of changed my opinion on Scandi a little bit more. I'm definitely going to look into it again. Yeah, there's no unfrustrating way of sharpening these knives. But look, thanks very much, guys, and we will see you in the next video.